All right, today I'm going to go over a concept using infinity. Concept using infinity. This is something basic that we do in calculus, or it's an idea that kind of has a practical use that we use while we're in the subject of calculus. All right, so to answer that question, I want you to think about something. So think about the largest number that you can think of, whatever that number is. Infinity is larger than any number that you can assign. So whatever that biggest number is, infinity is bigger than that. So infinity itself is not a number, all right? It's just a concept. It's larger than any number that you can think of. So the cool thing about infinity is, even though infinity is not a number, we can actually use infinity to calculate and get numbers. It's kind of weird how that works. So the idea that I want to go into is something that I'm about to go into on the board using an example of money. So if we think of this in terms of money, it may make a little bit more sense. So I want you to think of just $1. $1, and what you're going to do with this dollar is split this dollar evenly amongst some people, all right? So the condition here, we're going to split this evenly amongst people. So if you look at what I have on the screen right now, I have $1 for one person, right? That means that one person will get $1. Does that make sense? So that one person will get $1. Now, what happens if I move that up to two people? So if I have $1 and I'm splitting this dollar evenly against two people, that means each person gets 50 cents. All right. So what happens so far is you notice that you went from $1 to now 50 cents. Now, let's move this forward. I have $1 against four people and I'm splitting it evenly. That means they get a quarter each. A quarter each. $1 against four people, a quarter each. What if it's five people? That's 20 cents each. And as we go through the list, you'll start to notice what's going on with the dollars or the amount that each person gets. So $1 with 10 people, everybody will get 10 cents. 20 people, everybody will get 5 cents. 25 people, everyone gets 4 cents. 50 people, everybody gets 2 cents. If I have $1 and I have 100 people, everyone gets 1 cent. So what we're doing is we're splitting that dollar. And what's going on here, the number of people increases. All right. I have $1, but the number of people that I'm dividing this over gets larger and larger and larger. Now, as these numbers get larger, as the people get larger, the amount of money gets smaller. Everybody see that? So as the people increase, the amount of money each person get decreases. And that's how we start to calculate or use what we call infinity to make a calculation. All right, so I hope you took a little second to really think about that. So I have $1 that I want to split over evenly against 101 people. The question is, how much money will each person receive? So here's your answer. If I had $1 and there's 101 people that I want to split this evenly against, the real answer here is everyone gets $0 each. All right. Now, in the context of this problem, that's a zero, right? Because our money system only goes 2 decimal places, right? So whatever we're looking at now is much smaller than this $0 now, right? So mathematically, there is a decimal that you would get, but in terms of this question, as far as splitting money evenly, since I can't split that type of money evenly because we go as small as 1 penny, nobody gets any money. And therein lies the concept of what we mean by dividing a single digit or a number by infinity. All right, so in plain English, if I had $1 and I divide that by a super big number, I'm talking about bigger than 101, bigger than a million, bigger than a billion, a trillion, I'm going to get something that approaches zero. All right. I'm gonna get something that approaches zero. And you saw what happened with the money. As soon as I took that $1 and divided it by 100, I was already down to 1 cent. The instant I went over 100 people, that 1 cent turned into 0 cents. You get what I'm saying? So as you take a number, like a number 1, right, for instance, and you divide it by a super large number, you get close to 0. So this is the formal way that we write this, or we describe this phenomenon in calculus. So if I'm taking $1 and I'm dividing it by some number, what we're trying to do is, what's the limit? Like, what's this answer getting close to as x approaches infinity? All right, so that's how you kind of read this. It's just letting you know, as x gets huge, you put it here. What is this approaching? This is approaching 0. The limit as x approaches infinity of 1 divided by x is 0. That's how you read that sentence. I hope that made a lot of sense, because that's pretty much the concept behind, dividing by infinity, and how that can be used to make a calculation or an approximation, we like to say. They have practical uses when you get to our levels in calculus and beyond. Taking limits to infinity, horizontal asymptotes. We call that in behavior, all sorts of things. So the main concept is, you got to understand, okay, numbers can be assigned, but infinity is bigger than any assignable value. But still, we can use infinity to make accurate calculations.